to help pay for the spending bill is gaining momentum, but could present a pretty big logistical challenge. Robert Frank with the details. Unrealized gains. Explain how this would work, Robert.
Well, Sarah, this is a tax that would only apply to about 1,000 taxpayers. It would be an annual tax on billionaires' unrealized capital gains from tradable assets like stocks or bonds. Sources telling me today they would be taxed at the capital gains rate, which now is at 23.8% for the top rate. So Elon Musk, who has gained $83 billion in wealth so far this year, would pay a tax of about $20 billion even if he didn't sell a single share. Now, for non-tradable or illiquid assets like private companies or property, the tax would be a look-back or retroactive tax once the asset is actually sold. Early estimates say this would all generate about $200 to $250 billion over 10 years. Now, in years of losses, billionaires would get credits and carry forward. So if they lose $1 billion in one year, they gain $2 billion the next year, they would only be taxed on $1 billion in gains for both years. So it's very confusing. It would be a whole new tax system and a very volatile source of revenue. Guys?
Yeah, Robert, I mean, we talked about it this morning. I had questions. I still have more, which is, all right, Elon Musk, you owe the government $20 billion. What are you going to do? You're going to sell $20 billion worth of Tesla stock? I mean, are we going to be sitting here going, uh-oh, wonder what Musk's tax bill is going to look like, because he could be a seller of millions of shares.
Yeah, a lot of the discussion on Twitter today is the impact on these share prices that have highly concentrated ownership by founders. So you're looking at Google, you're looking at Facebook, you're looking at Tesla, you're looking at Amazon. And those guys hold so much stock. And if they go up a huge year like this year, you know, maybe Elon Musk could borrow that much against his stock, but that would still be an added risk to the stock overhanging that share price. So there's no question they would impact these shares.
Right. Well, he's already borrowing a lot against it in part, right? Isn't that?
Yeah.
That's another story that you've told us to a certain extent. I mean, the stock may never need to be sold because he's already borrowed against it. And obviously that interest is tax deductible, which is beneficial to him.
That's right. A lot of these guys make their, quote, income by borrowing against their shares, so they're not paying income tax. That's what generated this whole discussion, saying, look, these guys are getting wealthy without paying any tax on their wealth. But it creates huge complications. And to your point, you know, maybe Jeff Bezos could borrow enough against it to pay that tax. But doing it every year, if they have those gains, eventually could be tricky, and they would have to sell.
Robert, thank you. Robert Frank.
I also read it could face some legal challenges under the 16th Amendment, which defines income tax, because it's a stretch, a little bit, or could be.
It would seem to be. It would seem to have a lot of different things around it that may be difficult to implement. Not my problem.